So I want to show you a quick video how I do the at a glance with the archetypes at a glance on a Zoom call. It's not that complicated, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time with it. I know you all are pretty capable of it, but I at least wanted to give you some perspective. So I share my screen as normal and just talk to them a little bit about some of the primary issues or thoughts about archetypes, the hardware software part, or sorry, the strength shadow part, that there are multiple archetypes out there, what the word means, it's beginning, writings, imprints. So I kind of go through what archetypes are all about and some of the pre-part. If you download the keynote address on archetypes, it's the first few slides, talk about hardware, software, talk about they're like cars that we drive, they're like shoes, trying to drive home one main point, that the archetypes are not to be considered something we are as much as it is something that we use, a method by which we use these archetypes to navigate our world. And we have some favorite ones, we have some that are less favorite, we have some active ones, less active. The assessment is measuring how active and comfortable we are, not whether or not we possess them or not. So I start with a document like this, and then I tend to blow it way up on the screen. And I tell them we're going to start with two archetypes. We're going to start with the first two, but the third and fourth one, because they're just easier to understand. So as we go through it, I try to go through and say, I'm going to give you the archetype and an example of it. I'm going to give you some strength words, then some shadow words, what they value the most, what they would do if the work was piled up and it had to get done in 1 week. How would they finish this statement? Today was a great day because. What would they do if they spilled coffee down the front of them? And then this is the key part we want them to look at, is what keywords or phrases they might see in an email or a text message. So again, this is just sharing with them the archetype at a glance page. That's all it is. So I then skip idealist and orphan because it's harder to get them to grasp this. And I move first to warrior and the caregiver part. And so I like to start off with just warrior first and talk to them a little bit about what it looks like. And so I tend to show them the first part of this about warrior. Then I ask them what might be some shadowy words. And then as they answer, I just kind of reveal the screen. Then I talk to them a little bit about, okay, what do they value? Because that's the column. They inspire to be competitive. And again, I just go through each column and help them to see that. Once we're done with the warrior, then I move to caregiver, but I try to expand the screen so now they can see what does this look like. Again, if you want to just close your screen off so they can't see all of it, what does that look like as they compare? Again, I'm not doing well with the recording, but you get my point. This is a little bit what happens. And then I talk to them about the shadow of the caregiver, and I want them to see it within the context of the pair. So that's basically what's happening there as we go through. And all I do is I share this with each one of the pairs. So when I'm done here, now what I will do is I'll blow it back up. Oops, sorry. I'll blow it back up. Hopefully I'll be better than that if I'm with someone. And I go back up now and I take the first two, these two here. And again, I like to start this way with them and say, here's what the strength words are, and then go through together with both of them. Typically when I'm doing this on a Zoom, I have a 1 hour session to get this done. So you can't spend a lot of time with it, especially if you're going to show them their report as well. You have to be able to go through this pretty quick if you're doing this in a 1 hour session. Again, I just go through it, and I do the same thing for every one of the archetypes. I just go through each pair like that and say, okay, let's take a look at it. You can show them as much as you want. By the time I get to the bottom, I'm pretty much going through this pretty fast. They're getting a habit of what it looks like, and that's how I share with it. If I do this with their report, I got to get this part done within a half an hour. And that's a lot. That's a really fast pace. But again, depending upon how many hours you have scheduled, what does it look like? What I prefer is to do this one for an hour, and then, if I can, assign to them between now and the next session to find examples of where they saw each of these archetypes. And all they get is the archetype at a glance page. I send them this either through PDF or if I'm with them, and their job is to find examples of where they saw each of these archetypes. This next time, then I would show them their report. So it slows it down, which we prefer. But again, if we don't have a lot of time when we have all this work to do, that's basically how I present what this looks like. So hopefully that'll give you some idea of how I'm using the at a glance, using a Zoom type approach. All right.